Yo, welcome to Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wally. We got a big show for y'all today. We talking boxing, and you know we talking boxing. We got Byron here, coming here to school y'all on this thing. Before we get into the show, make sure you go to Spectator Sporting YouTube page, like, subscribe, comment, turn on that. Go ahead and go on TikTok, keep running those comments up. And if you're in your car, go ahead and turn on the Spotify. In a big-time light heavyweight title bout, the WBC World Light Heavyweight Champion, David Benavidez, a.k.a. the Mexican Monster, 29 years old, 31-0 with 25 knockouts. Last fight, he finished Anthony Yarde with a 7th-round TKO, dominating the fight with relentless attack and heavy combinations as Yarde was bloodied up and bruised in the fight. And now we'll be facing off against Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, the WB World Cruiserweight Champion, 34 years old from Mexico, 48-1 with 30 knockouts. Last fight defeated Dorsicos in a 12-round unanimous decision, continuing his strong run in the lightweight heavy division. Now he will face arguably the best fighter in the light heavyweight division. Byron, please talk to me about this fight. I'm excited. I'm fired up for this one.
David Benavidez is the best Mexican fighter in boxing. And that's just the simple and plain truth. You know, after his debacle with trying to get Bivol, trying to get better BF in the ring, he shocks everyone, moving up to cruiserweight to face Zurdo Ramirez. And on paper, this looks like a really, really good fight. But when you watch the Ramirez versus Bivol fight, you kind of see why David Benavidez is very confident in this fight. But still, the punch volume from both of these fighters, you got David Benavidez averaging some 57 punches. Ramirez has been pumping out outputs of 70 and 80 punches per round. I cannot wait to see these two guys get in the ring and try to beat each other up. Cinco de Mayo, Mexican versus Mexican. I think they're trying to step into the Canelo mold, David Benavidez, and kind of cement himself as the future of the sport of boxing. Very competitive fight. And what happens if David Benavidez dominates this fight? Does he stay at cruiser? Does he come back? So many questions, but as far as competitive fights are concerned, this is one that you can look forward to and know that it will be a banger.
No doubt about it. This is not a light heavyweight title, but this is a cruiserweight title bout. So excuse me for the mistake. So Adi, talk to me about this fight. What's your thoughts on this fight as the Mexican Monster steps back in the ring?
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of action. Just like Byron said, you know, don't blink an eye. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't miss 1 second of any round because there's going to be action. So David, the Mexican Monster Benavidez, is the light heavyweight WBC champion of the world because Dmitry Bivol chose not to fight David Benavidez.
That's your man.
Yes.
I know, I like him too, man. I ain't gonna front. That's disappointing.
Yeah. That's he's one of my favorite fighters, you know, and I like to study his fights so I can fight like that when I get in the ring. But
is that what you? That's who you was imitating in the ring.
It was a very similar.
Yeah, it was. I see it. I didn't see the step.
He loves the jab, loves the move, and then he throws the right hand. And he's very, very basic, you know, kind of robotic, but it works. And so, but he did get stripped of that WBC belt because he chose not to fight David Benavidez, and the initial excuse was that Dmitry Bivol wanted to get a trilogy fight versus the 41-year-old Alter Beterbiev, but that did not work out. And then 4 months later, Eddie Hearn said that Dmitry Bivol needed back surgery. Yep. So turns out Dmitry Bivol didn't fight Alter Beterbiev or David Benavidez, but he will fight Michael Eifert. Okay, so go figure. Michael Eifert is coming for David.
I think they're just showing respect to the champion that David Benavidez is. You don't want to come and get him after an injury. You know, you want to make sure you're back on your P's and Q's. So while some people will make fun of that move, I kind of understood it. I think it's a move to make because you're trying to get your time and get everything back up. Because David Benavidez will be like a career-defining fight.
No doubt. So now, but David Benavidez, he has had enough of this waiting around for these elite fighters that pull off these slick duck moves. So After David Benavidez scored his first knockout at the light heavyweight division versus Anthony Yard, he shocked us all by moving up, pulling off the drastic move and moving up to the Cruiserweight division and no tune-up fight.
Yeah, that's right.
No, you hear these people that move up hard need a tune-up fight, like Bootsy need to fight Lima and all this.
Yep.
Jose Lima from Cockatoo.
No tune-up fight.
He just wants to smoke right away.
Right away, moving up 25 pounds to Cruiserweight. And going against a unified champion at Cruiserweight, the first Mexican Cruiserweight champ. 48 wins, only one loss. His only loss, Zurdo Ramirez, only losses to Dmitry Bivol. Okay, so this guy, talk about challenge yourself. Mexican Monster does that.
Yeah,
and that's one thing we all appreciate about David Benavidez, the Mexican Monster. He does not shy away from competition, and I wish more boxers was like him right now, coming out right now. Let's talk about Zurdo Ramirez coming into this fight. You know, Benavidez is stepping up to fight him in his division. Adi, how can he pull off the upset against the Mexican Monster?
Well, this will be Zurdo Ramirez's 50th professional fight, okay? He was 44-0 before he fought Dmitry Bivol. And Bivol, as usual, displayed world-class defense, elite footwork. Yeah. His jab was on point, working off the jab, moving, and he actually became, surprisingly, the stalker and the pressure fighter in that fight versus Zurdo Ramirez. I did only give Ramirez 2 rounds in that fight against Bivol, but I do like the way Ramirez closed out the fight. He did close the championship rounds off very impressively.
He's competitive.
Yeah, he's a competitor. He didn't just he didn't let him walk all over him. He did finish strong. I do give him that, but Bivol clearly won that fight. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but after that was Zurdo's last fight at the light heavyweight division, and then he moved up to the cruiserweight and he won the WBA title in a unanimous decision victory over Arsene Gulamarian. All right, and then Zurdo won the WBO belt in another unanimous decision victory versus Chris Billum Smith. And in his last fight versus the Cuban KO doctor, Dorticus, Zurdo Ramirez got off to a slow start. He was on the ropes too much and relying on that high guard a little too much. But in the second half of the fight, he started implementing some head movement. He did some counter punching. He had solid combinations. And he endured some low blows from Dorticus. It was several low blows that he was hitting them with, and the ref actually took a point from Dorticus in that fight. But Zurdo Ramirez, he overcame that and once again finished very strong in the championship rounds. This guy, 50 professional fights. Some people say he fought a lot of cupcakes, but still, 50 professional fights is 50 professional fights.
Yeah, with one loss.
Yeah, with one loss. And so in the championship rounds, you can tell he's...
And 30 knockouts.
Yeah. And this guy,
no slouch at all.
He knows how to finish fights. So I was impressed by that for being a big guy and looking like he has a very good endurance. But since he moved up to cruiserweight, he has no wins by knockout. He hasn't had a knockout victory in 4 years. And you need that power with someone like the Mexican Monster who's not going to be running around. He's going to be coming straight at you, and you want to kind of knock him back with some power. So Ramirez needs to try to get a knockout against the Mexican Monster because it's hard to outwork this man and win rounds against the Mexican Monster.
No, definitely. What's your thoughts, Byron, about the Mexican Monster moving up? How can Zurdo pull off this massive upset, even if it is a massive upset? Because Zurdo, once again, y'all just said it, very accomplished in his own rights.
When I look at Zurdo Ramirez, I kind of see he mirrors David Benavidez with the fact that they kind of overwhelm their opponents with volume.
Yeah.
And he has a really decent jab when he wants to use it. His footwork isn't out of this world, but he has a very consistent jab. He's going to throw shots. And for fighters who start slow, fighters who throw, 40, 30 punches around, he can just overwhelm them with volume. But I think the problem with Zurdo Williams is he doesn't fight well off that back foot. And when you're fighting someone like David Benavidez, who's going to constantly give you pressure, who's going to constantly be throwing combinations, I mean, that's why I can't wait to see this fight. It's 2 cruiserweights that throw like they're middleweights. So it's gonna be very exciting to see how that clashes. But if Zurdo Ramirez has any chance in this fight. He doesn't have to change his last name to Williams. That was just a slip. But Zurdo is going to have to fight on that front foot. He's going to have a jab that is consistent, and is going to have to not back up David Benavidez, because I don't think he has enough pop to back him up, but something to make him constantly reset and reshift his offense, because you're not going to want to walk through that buzzsaw throwing out a little probing jab and then kind of waiting for shots, because you're going to get shots in return, and I think David Benavidez, as far as dirty boxing, it kind of is a check toward him in this fight. He doesn't want to get in a phone book fight with David Benavidez. So I think for him to be successful is to work behind that jab and try to fight David Benavidez at a distance. He has a 75-inch reach, and I think he's going to need every inch of that to be successful in the first rounds. I think David Benavidez is going to try to jump on him with the pressure, and I think he's going to be a lot more accurate. So I think he has a great chin, but again, I think when he's pushed, when he's fighting off that back foot, you get the weaker version of Ramirez. And not to say that Bivol is special. Defense, no one has defense like him. Maybe Shakur Stevenson is somebody else that has that type of defense where he can make you miss. Yeah. But I think when I looked at that fight, it wasn't so much the defense that Bivol had. It was the fact that it was the constant pressure. And I think Bivol recognized early, if I pressure this guy, I'm not going to get anything that's going to really, make me scared in return. And so when he put him on the back foot, he dominated the fight. Again, Ramirez can get close to those ropes. He can actually start laying on those ropes. You do that against a David Benavidez, it's curtains. It could be curtains. It could be a very short night. So again, Ramirez, fight behind your jab, keep the fight in the center of the ring, and hope for the best.
I think Ramirez, I know the power may not be, but he's got to have a couple punches at least that make Benavidez think about it. At least think about you just running up in there, because if you don't, then that's when I think it gets ugly.
Well, what about the weight difference? I was trying to figure out because Ramirez said that he walks around at 210.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wonder what Mexican Monster, I wonder what his walk around weight is, because I know they sparred before. And David Benavidez says he feels very good with the sparring session he had with Ramirez, but Ramirez thinks he won the sparring session. But these guys are around pretty much the same height. The reach is like Ramirez has 1 inch reach advantage over David Benavidez, but Benavidez.
When they're both 6'2", both of them pretty much have the same reach. They both got pretty big frames. I don't think it's out of the realm to say that David Benavidez walks around closer to 200. But I don't think in this fight the power will be a big factor. You know, I think it will be more. That's why this fight is so exciting, because it's pretty much two offensive fighters, and they just so happen to be cruiserweights. Your typical cruiserweight fights, two guys banging. One shot, and somebody goes to sleep. But I think these are two guys that have very high motors. I think they both can perform good in the championship rounds. And I think they both kind of need volume to knock guys out. Mm-hmm. And so David Benavidez is not going to one-shot you, and I don't think Ramirez is going to one-shot David Benavidez. So, as far as I did see the interviews about their sparring, I didn't put too much emphasis on it, because even if you did crack them, this is a different realm than sparring. And I think the fact that David Benavidez is moving up to face you, he's very comfortable with what he's going to get in return. That's just my opinion.
Let me ask y'all something. I bet, it's been a lot of... Actually, I feel like I hear more about sparring matches than actual boxing matches.
That's because it's a duck mechanism. Yeah. It's a mechanism used to, kind of pump fake fights. And I'm really getting sick of it. I think sparring is practice. And
that's what I'm getting at.
Certain things, you go in there, you're working on certain things, but I do think it's relevant when a guy... like David Benavidez has sparred a guy like Dmitry Bivol. Mm-hmm. Because Dmitry Bivol is something that you don't see a lot in boxing as far as his defense. Yeah. So I think multiple sparring sessions with him will aid you if you fight him in the ring. Right. And that's why David Benavidez has said, I don't have any fear of fighting him. And I'm confident I can beat him because I've been in the ring, I've been around him. But as far as saying because of what I did to you in sparring, I could beat you in a real fight, get Get that shit out of here. That's the Rolly Romero's, Ryan Garcia logics of the world. And it's very moronic. But I think as it relates to the special fighters in boxing, you know, getting rounds in with Shakur Stevenson, we see Keyshawn Davis.
Right.
When he sparred Shakur Stevenson and had a camp with him, and then he put on one of his best performances of his career.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so the sparring is good as far as pushing you forward, but as far as validation of you winning or dominating the guy, get the fuck out of here.
You want to fight somebody that has a similar style that you're about to fight.
Yeah,
I remember, didn't Carlos Adonis spar Bud Crawford before the Canelo fight? So, you know, and so it's important to fight someone that has a style that you're going to fight, and then you could, from that sparring session, figure out what you did wrong, correct the mistakes, and, you know, fight the guy later.
Yeah, and I think David Benavidez he's one of those special, he has a very high boxing IQ, but he does have that Mexican fighter always coming forward, seemingly can't be hurt. Like, I don't understand why there aren't more fans excited about this kid and wanting to see this kid fight. You know, y'all stuck on a guy, Canelo, who can't beat anybody with any type of boxing talent. And then you have this undisputed Mexican champion that's moving up. You know, he's seeing that light heavyweight guys are pump faking, so I'm just gonna move up and go after another belt in another division. Yeah, like it's. I think David Benavidez is what the sport of boxing needs. Fighters like him. And yes, I'm biased. And yes, this is my favorite fighter. But I'm saying, I think the sport is better with more guys like this that has this mentality that, you know what? If my challenges aren't here, then I'm going to challenge myself and push myself to go further. So, shout out to David Benavidez.
No doubt about it. So, let's talk about it. This is going to be a great, entertaining fight. Both fighters, it's going to be a lot of punches being thrown in this fight. Very exciting. Who wins this fight?
Well, you know, Byron brought up the Bivol fight against Zurdo versus Bivol, and Bivol was pressuring him. But, you know, Bivol doesn't really go for knockouts.
No.
But the Mexican Monster does. The Mexican Monster is going to put the pressure on Zurdo Ramirez, and I got him getting the stoppage in the 9th round.
Wow. 9th round. Ooh, I like it.
Wow.
Man, that'd be crazy. Byron, are you agreeing with Adi? Adi is saying the Mexican Monster is gonna stop them in the 9th round. Is that gonna happen?
I would absolutely love to see David Benavidez stop Zurdo Ramirez, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the first 6 rounds of this fight will be highly entertaining because I think Zurdo will try to match the offense. He will try not to fight off of his back foot. He will try to push this fight. I think this fight is going to go down to the championship rounds. And in those championship rounds, I'm going to lean on David Benavidez, his boxing IQ, and the fact that in the clinch, I think he's going to win those exchanges with the uppercuts, with the dirty boxing. The kid is too smart. He's too strong. And I have him winning a unanimous decision against Ramirez. But again, Ramirez has the ability, he checks every box to make this fight competitive, but I think he's facing a train right now. David Benavidez will not lose. He wants to take out Beterbiev, he wants to take out Bivol, and this is just a new notch that he kind of presented for himself while he's waiting for them to get up the courage enough to sign the contract. So I got David Benavidez unanimous decision.
But then he will have to, if he's going to fight these Bivols and these Beterbievs, he's going to have to lose 25 pounds to go back to the light heavyweight division. And this could be a slick strategy by Bivol to make the Mexican Monster go through all this bullshit, go through this gauntlet of
like,
we're going to catch you on your way down.
But again, I don't think that will be a problem. I really don't, because I think after watching Beterbiev beat Bivol, I think Benavidez thinks his pressure and the fact that he has, you know, his jab, or he thinks he can put enough shots on him to get to the championship rounds to be successful. I don't think it's a fight that he's scared of, and it's kind of like even with the Canelo fight. You know, you can talk to him right now, and he'll say, if Canelo says he'll fight me at 168, I'll go to 168 to go get him. I think his head is on right. He's going to eat right. He's going to do what he can to get in the weight and do it the right way. And he's came out of his mouth and said, I will take these fights. I will take this fight. He wants to fight them both, and he's still keeping the door open, saying, if Canelo wants it, I'll go get him at 168. He doesn't even have to come up. I'll go get him at 168. So, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I wasn't shocked when this man said he was moving up.
Yeah.
But I trust the guy, and I think he's gonna be successful.
Definitely. I got Benavidez as well in unanimous decision. I just think they're just kind of like his last few fights. The constant attack mode, he's gonna wear. I think it's just gonna wear on Zurdo, and I think he wins again in unanimous decision. So can't wait though. I'm very excited. This is gonna be very entertaining. A lot of action. You've been watching Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wally. Shout out to Byron coming over here schooling y'all. Before we get out of here, make sure you go on Spectator Sporting YouTube page, like, subscribe, comment, go on TikTok, keep running the numbers up. And if you're in your car, you can listen to us on Spotify. In the meantime, in between time, we out. Peace.